Good afternoon. My name is Debo Onifade, and I'm the author of Liberating Nigeria, a guide to winning elections and reviving our country, with forward by Femi Falana, SAN. It's available on Amazon, Roving Heights Bookstore, Lagos, UI, Unilag, OAU Bookstores, Nigeria, as well as booksellers in Ibadan, Glendora Bookstore in ShopRite and airports. Okay, today I'd like to talk about the CNG, the all subsidy removal, and this CNG story that different government officials have been talking about. And I'd like to make some corrections and also propose a better option. First of all, I think what I'm about to say, the NNPC CEO knows it. I don't know why they're trying to fool us. I'm not preaching something that is absolutely new, especially to engineers. My background is engineering. I'm a current certified engineer in Nigeria. I'm a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. I'm a senior member of IEEE. So, on the engineering side, I think most people know what I'm talking about. But again, so let's talk about this story about, government is going to make CNG available to us. First of all, for me, according to the World Bank, I don't really believe their numbers all the time, but sometimes because we don't have all the numbers, we share maybe over about 90 million Nigerians live perhaps approximately less than 50,000 a month. I think probably another, that's 40% of Nigerians. Probably another 30% live less than 100,000. So I don't think Nigerians that have cars are more than perhaps 25-30%. So if we assume that about 70% of Nigerians don't have cars, probably, we don't know the data, then why are we not talking about those 70% first primarily? Why is the discussion focused on people that have cars? This is not even engineering, this is common sense. Have the NLC labor chair coming to say he was talking about somebody spending 40,000 to fuel his car or her car every week, making 140,000 naira a month. And I just marveled at that example he gave. That's an example of a rich person in Nigeria. And that's an example of, maybe I shouldn't use the word rich, lower middle class or upper middle class, whatever you call it. But I think those people are important, but I don't think they're top priority. And those people are probably 20 to 30%. I think if we want to prioritize the first group, if we want to, prioritize at all, we should focus on the first group, poor people first. And then we can then go to lower middle class and then upper middle class. And we don't really need to worry about the rich at this time. Now, the rich people the poor people don't have cars. And, let's even talk about maybe lower middle class that have cars. How do you first retrofit vehicles to be able to use CNG? In America, maybe the estimated smallest amount is maybe $7,000, $8,000. Let's even say it's going to be cheaper in Nigeria. $2,000-$3,000. How many people can afford, even among the lower middle class people that ride small cars, how many people can afford to retrofit their vehicles to work with CNG? Now, how many old cars? A lot of people in Nigeria ride very old cars. Some old cars will not work well with CNG. Modern cars are quite easy to adapt to retrofit. Older cars, many Nigerians in the lower middle class cadre who ride cars are riding very old cars. That will be a challenge, and they will find it difficult to retrofit. Now, let's go into the cost. They keep talking about 100 to 130. What does CNG mean? CNG is compressed natural gas. Oh, we have abundance. No, we do not have abundant CNG in Nigeria. We have abundant natural gas, NG. Now, the challenge is how to deliver natural gas to the user. We have two options. One is to pipe the gas to the user. Only a few states in Nigeria have pipeline, and even in those states, the pipelines are only situated in industrial areas. Even VI, the most affluent in commercial center in Nigeria does not have pipeline. So even Victoria Island in Lagos doesn't have natural gas available. Now the option is then CNG is an alternative where you don't have pipeline. That is, the gas is compressed, and is transported, is trucked to the required location. For industrial use, this makes sense, of course. This makes sense, of course, for industrial use. But the longer the distance, the longer the distance between the area of use and the source of the gas, the more expensive CNG will become. So if I'm delivering CNG to VI from Ogba or from Marina, shorter distance, the CNG per liter, whichever way is measured in Nigeria, is going to cost less. But if I have to deliver to Maiduguri, or I'm going to deliver to maybe Anambra or Ebonyi, locations where you don't have any nearby gas, natural gas supply, the price will go up significantly. Now, how long is it going to take us to set up CNG gas stations all around the country? So you have to set up the gas stations. You have to be able to deliver CNG to those locations. It will take years, many years. Okay. Now, if Lagos State is able to create a CNG supply in Lagos, because there's gas in Lagos, there's pipeline in Lagos, and let's say because of that, Lagos is able to create, maybe available CNG locations in Lagos, and you have to drive to Ibadan where there is no pipeline, for example, or you have to drive to Osho. What are you going to do when you get to Osho? And again, when you CNG, you can't cover long distance because you can't. Your ability to store gas in your car is limited. Are you going to put gas tank on top of your vehicle? No, you can only put it in, and the vehicles are not so big nowadays. You put vehicles under the somewhere in the trunk, so you have limited supply of CNG, and you get to a city or a state where CNG is not available. What do? Will you push your car back to Lagos? So let's stop all this nonsense. I think we need to stop talking about it. I don't know where that has come from. Labour is talking about it. The marketers are talking about it. NNPC, I'm shocked that the NNPC CEO is talking about it. He knows that this is not plausible. This is not a plausible solution. And why did focus on this 20%? Why? We only have one short-term solution. Now, CNG might be good long-term. At the time where we're able to, retrofit vehicles, that's going to take many years. Deliver CNG across the, even industrial users of CNG are not getting sustainable supply. Why are people using LPG? CNG is better option than LPG. But some gas generator users are still using LPG today in Nigeria because they cannot guarantee sustainable CNG supply. So if you can't even deliver CNG sustainably to industrial users, then why do you want to fool Nigerians that you can deliver it to retail users? It's not going to work. It's impossible for us to consider this as a short-term. Are you going to suddenly convert all vehicles in Nigeria to CNG vehicles? Are you going to suddenly set up CNG stations all around the country? How long is that going to take? Yes, perhaps impossible. For me, the first solution is mass transit. This is not something that can take us years. We can start with petrol, and then we can actually buy factory-fitted CNG big vehicles. Let me just say commercial vehicles. But let's even start with petrol or diesel. State governments need to deliver mass transit alternatives. That is not a long-term solution. This is not a long-term solution. The government can begin to order those vehicles today. Small vehicles, small buses that can fly shorter distances in small cities, longer vehicles like Lagos has big buses and small, they call them last mile buses. I talked about it in my last video. And forget about trains. Train exists in Nigeria, but let's not even talk about those big ones. Talk about small. States can deliver subsidized mass transit to make transport easier and cheaper for Nigerians, especially the poor people. That is the most urgent. That is the most plausible. And you can start with diesel powered or petrol powered transport buses for now, until we have infrastructure to provide CNG to those buses. And again, at that time, we're going to be bringing to Nigeria factory-fitted CNG buses to Nigeria. And at that time, the states that are interested can invest a lot into getting sustainable, because the issue is not about supplying natural gas, but sustaining the supply. Every time the buses need fuel, will CNG be available all the time? It's not about, oh, I've delivered and for the next 1 month we have CNG scarcity because we can't truck. And it's not a simple technology like this. No, because there's a risk, there is a risk involved. Only specialists can handle this. Even if you have a CNG supply source, it's handled by gas specialists. So, today I just want to say that I'm just trying to, debunk this issue. That it's all lies. I don't know why they're pushing this narrative. It's not going to happen anytime soon. It's a long-term solution. But let's focus on the short term first, which is taking care of those 60 to 70% people who don't have cars. Let's give them cheaper transport, big vehicles, small vehicles. There are ways we can do that. You don't need to, we can use cards. You don't need to use cash. And before I go, I also want to talk about things like, food stamps. Anything that can avoid cash. I think cash is easy for government officials to steal cash. But we should consider things like, food stamps, free healthcare, free education, anything that can reduce cost reduce cost of living for poor people. I think that's the government should prioritize. And let's talk about more realistic, targets. I think I'll end this way, and next video I'll talk about how we can help the lower middle class, the working class, lower earning people. But I think this video was focused on how the government can help the poor people, poor and the lower earning people that don't have cars, that are riding on buses. I think this video is for that, and I hope government will start talking about what can be done immediately, and let's not talk about theoretical solutions that will last us many years. Until I come your way again, I wish you a blessed week ahead. Thank you.